Hello and welcome. I'm Adriana. I'm a soul communicator and mentor, bringing forth the insights that you need to thrive directly from your higher guidance. Thanks so much for joining me today. I have another Stepping Stones on Your Spiritual Path video, and this, even if you don't consider yourself on the spiritual path, is something that I feel we can all relate to. So I was having a conversation with a friend this morning, and we were talking about something that had happened in her past. And while I hadn't experienced exactly the same thing, I've had a lot of dreams, I've had a lot of information come through about my own past lives that showed me actually I have gone through a lot of what this person has gone through, but just in a different lifetime. And that kind of put me on a thinking about really how much more connected we are than we realize. We have all lived so many thousands of lifetimes as different people in different places, and there's probably nothing that you have experienced that someone else hasn't. I could probably say that better. We've all experienced what someone else is going through at some point. We may not remember it, but we have probably experienced a lot of it, especially if that person is in your life as a significant part of that life, of your life. So this brings me to the idea of non-judgment, that because we've all been through the same things and we're all going through the same things, when you look at that big scheme, not just this life, but many lives, we're all going through the same thing. So when you judge someone, you're really putting a judgment on your own growth and your own path. So that's kind of the big global. Let's take it down a little bit more, specific. So one thing that happens when you're on the spiritual path and you learn about unconditional love and kindness and all of these wonderful things, you feel like you have to be like Susie Cupcake to everyone, just very nice and sweet and forgiving, and then you get walked on a lot, quite frankly. Okay, because part of the spiritual path is not just allowing people to walk over you and calling that kindness. It's being able to discern where a person is. And this is where non-judgment becomes very important, because you're not saying the person is bad. You're not saying the person is evil or the person is wrong or the person is not doing the right thing. It's the choice they're making. And because of that choice they're making, the place that they're choosing to be. Okay? So let's say you have an interaction with a nasty person, like they're just having a bad day, or they just throw all this negative energy at you. So you can deal with this a couple different ways. Obviously, probably the best thing to do is walk away, but let's back up a second. It doesn't really make sense to judge them, because this is not them. They at the soul level are exactly the same as you, pure positive energy. But you can judge that the choice they're making to hold on to negative energy, to stay in a negative place, that's not something that's healthy for you to be around. So then you may choose to just distance yourself from the person. Now, it's easier to do this the less connected a person is to you, right? It's easier to shake off someone at the checkout than it is to shake off your best friend, or to shake off your partner, or someone you happen to be living with or sharing your space with. When the person is closer to you, then there's more expectations that we tend to set about them, and it's harder to let things go because it happens right in front of you in your space. But the thing is, the principle is the same. You're not judging the person, because again, at the soul level, the person is the same as you. They're a pure force of positive energy just trying to learn a lesson. If you judge them and say, well, that's a bad person, that's a bad soul, you're also doing that to yourself. You're saying to yourself, I'm a bad person, I'm a bad soul. It's better to say, okay, that's not a behavior that I prefer to either be around or emulate. That behavior, that choice is making them stay in a place that's not great. And then you decide what to do. Do you confront them, point this out, and then see if they adjust? Do you just remove yourself? Do you give them space? But it's important to realize in all of this that if you do this correctly, every step of the way has been kind, every step of the way has been loving. Okay? So let's back up and let's say that your partner had a really bad day at work and they came home and they're unable to leave their work at the door and they start picking a fight with you. Okay. Now, if we do this right, you would say, okay, I'm seeing negative behavior. I'm seeing negative talk. I'm feeling this negative energy come at me. I know this isn't personal. I know that they're going through something that has to do with them. Okay, so I'm going to decide for myself what is healthiest for me without condemning what they're doing or condemning their choices. So basically, you're saying in the inside to your partner, okay, I see you're choosing to be in a bad mood right now. I see that you're choosing to be in a bad place. I feel it's best for both of us if I perhaps go take a walk now. All right. And that's all you do. You don't necessarily need to point this out. You don't necessarily need to rub it in their faces that they're in a bad place. You can just quickly say, you know, I'm sensing you need some time to yourself to kind of decompress from work. I'm going to go out for a little bit on a walk. And you just leave this space. Now, if you come back and they're not better, you have more choices to make. But the point is that you're approaching them from a place of non-judgment. Just saying, this is the behavior I'm seeing. This is the choice you're continuing to make. And because of that choice, I'm going to make a better choice for myself because I want to stay in my place. But if your partner comes home and they're in a bad mood and you start judging like, oh my God, they're in a bad mood again. Why do they always do this to me on a Tuesday? Why can't I ever go through a day and just have nothing come at me? Why are they doing this? And why do I deserve to be here? Do you see how all of that energy is now suddenly, no, I've taken on their negativity. Now I've made it my own by putting my own words behind it. I've tarnished my own soul here because I haven't allowed my light to shine. So judgment really hasn't helped in this situation because then likely you're going to get down to their level and you're going to start picking a fight. And that's not going to be fun for any, really. Okay, but this is something that isn't really, it's not going to be learned just by watching this video and suddenly it's magically cured. You have to go out and try it for yourself. And you have to keep practicing it. This is all a work in progress for all of us on the spiritual path. And the more you practice it, the more easy it gets. But just remember that your tolerance for this is going to be greater for those that you're less connected to, and it's going to be more challenging for those that you're closer with, this idea of non-judgment. But if you take nothing else away from this video, just remember that it's important to judge actions, judge choices, but not judge the actor or the person making the choice. You are not judging the person, you are judging the decision. We have to make judgments. We have to create discernment. Otherwise, we're just wandering through like the Fool card in tarot, or like, a very naive person that never learns and falls into this and falls into that and gets burned by this and gets burned by that. You'll never learn if you stay in that kind of open-hearted, oh, I must love everyone and everyone is fine and beautiful and stars and butterflies everywhere. That's not going to work. You have to be sharp. You have to be willing to see, but see the action. Condemn the action. Do not condemn the person who did the action. Actions don't define us. They describe our path and they prescribe where we're going, but they don't define us. On the soul level, we're defined the same way. Pure positive energy. Okay? And if we can stay in that and encourage each other to be in that, our need for judgment is going to become less and less and less and less, because your world and then the world that comes off of that world will be filled with less things to judge. And when there are less things to judge, there is more free and easy outflowing of unconditional, pure, divine love. So thank you so much for joining me today for this video. If you're looking for some more one-on-one guidance on your soul path, on your journey, please reach out at soulguidancewithadriana.com, or there's my email in the description below. Also, some new interesting video offerings coming soon. So I'll keep you informed and posted about that. Have a great day.